From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, July the 24th, 2017. Israel is trying to defuse a very tense situation with Jordan following an incident last night in Amman. An Israeli security guard at the Israeli embassy in the city shot a Jordanian man who stabbed him. The assailant was said to be a 17-year-old who stabbed the Israeli guard in the stomach with a screwdriver. The guard fired his weapon in self-defense following the attack, killing the assailant as well as a bystander who was unintentionally hit by a stray bullet. Jordanian police are demanding to question the guard, refusing to let him leave the country. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he is in contact with the Israeli staff at the embassy in Amman, who has remained in lockdown since the incident. Netanyahu also said he spoke with the security guard, reassuring him that he would get him home. And today, an Israeli senior defense official went to Jordan to try and negotiate the situation. Tensions with Jordan were already high following new security measures at the Temple Mount in Jerusalem last week, which Israel installed after the deadly terror attack outside the holy site, in which 2 Israeli police officers were murdered by 3 Arab Israeli terrorists. And today, a 32-year-old Israeli Arab man was moderately to severely wounded when he was stabbed in Petah Tikva in Israel, near the central bus station in the city, by a 21-year-old Palestinian man. The terrorist was caught by police and taken for questioning, where he reportedly told them he committed the attack, quote, for Al-Aqsa, referring to the Temple Mount. The victim was taken to the hospital for treatment. The attack this morning follows a deadly terror attack Friday night in the West Bank that left 3 members of the same family dead. Thousands gathered yesterday to mourn 70-year-old Yosef Salomon, his daughter, 46-year-old Chaya, and son, 36-year-old Elad, who were all stabbed to death by a 19-year-old Palestinian man who infiltrated the Jewish settlement of Chalamish, entered the home of the Salomon family and attacked them, also seriously wounding the 68-year-old wife of Yosef Salomon, who is also the mother of Chaya and Elad. She remains hospitalized. A neighbor who heard calls for help coming from the home shot and wounded the terrorist, who was then taken for questioning by Israeli security forces. Prime Minister Netanyahu called the Chalamish murders an act of terrorism committed by a reprehensible person incited by wild hatred. The ambassadors of the Middle East Quartet released a statement following the spike in violence. The envoys from Russia, the U.S., the European Union, and the United Nations said they were, quote, deeply concerned by the escalating tensions and violent clashes taking place in and around the Old City of Jerusalem, saying that they strongly condemn acts of terror, express their regret for all loss of innocent life caused by the violence, and hope for a speedy recovery to the wounded. The UN Security Council was also said to be holding an emergency meeting over the Temple Mount crisis and recent violence. And U.S. Special Envoy for International Negotiations Jason Greenblatt returned to Israel today to try and calm the situation. Israel's Army radio reported that Greenblatt landed this afternoon and went directly to Jerusalem to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Meanwhile, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas canceled security coordination meetings that were supposed to take place between Israeli and Palestinian officials yesterday. Ynet reports the cancellation follows Abbas's announcement earlier that all contact with Israel had been frozen because of the newly installed security measures at the Temple Mount. Israel's Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman told Ynet that Israel could manage without the coordination, but the Palestinians would be the ones to be negatively impacted by the freeze. Lieberman also strongly criticized Abbas for not condemning the murder of the Salomon family on Friday. And more rocket fire targeted Israel this weekend. 2 projectiles were launched at southern Israel from Gaza yesterday. Both landed in open areas and no damage or injury was caused. The IDF today retaliated for the rocket fire, targeting a post belonging to terror group Hamas in the southern Gaza Strip. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS from Monday, July the 24th at 7 o'clock, it's The Wisdom of Dr. Ruth Westheimer. At 7:30, the Manhattan Jewish Historical Initiative conducts its first annual induction ceremony into the Manhattan Jewish Hall of Fame. At 9 tonight, Mark Golub sits down with Jewish activist Howard Teach on L'chaim, and at 10, comic book creator Neil Gaiman speaks at the 92nd Street Y. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, I will speak to Times of Israel senior analyst Chaviv Rettig-Gur about the recent terror attacks in Israel and the situation with Jordan on tonight's In the News. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, July the 24th, 2017. I'm Teisha Bader.